company estimates that it will need $100,000 in 8 years to replace a certain piece of factory equipment. It establishes a sinking fund by making a fixed monthly payment into an account paying a 6.3% annual rate of interest compounded monthly. And Part A, we need to find the size of the payment required in order for the company to meet its future obligations. So let's see if we can identify our variables. It says that a company estimates that it will need $100,000 in 8 years. Okay, so the company does not currently have $100,000, and $100,000 is not the payment that they make into the account. $100,000 is how much they need in 8 years. So in other words, that is the future value. The 8 years tells us the value of T. T is 8. So the company creates a sinking fund by making a fixed monthly payment. The fact that the payments are monthly means that M is 12. Into an account earning a 6.3% annual rate of interest. So that tells us R, 0.063, compounded monthly. Okay, well I then is R divided by 12, 0.00525. And if we are looking over a course of 8 years, that means a total of 96 months, 8 times 12. And this leaves PV and PMT. Well, as with the previous problem, we're starting out with an empty account, so PV is 0, and we are being asked for the value of the payment. So we need to solve for PMT. Okay, so again, just as a reminder, the formula for an annuity of this sort is FV equals PV times 1 plus I to the n plus PMT times 1 plus I raised to n minus 1 divided by I. And just like with the last problem, PV is 0, so we don't need to worry about this term. There are problems where you will need to deal with that term, but in this case we don't. Okay, so I know the value of PV, that is 100,000. And PMT is what I want to solve for. I don't know that yet. 1 plus I is 1.00525. I need to raise that to the 96th power, subtract off 1, and then divide by I, 0.00525. Okay. So now I'm going to calculate all of this. So I pick up my calculator, plug all of that in, and I get 100,000 equals PMT times 124.40923. Then, if I need to solve for PMT, I divide both sides by this 124.41 approximately. And that tells me, sorry, bear with me for a second. My screen just blanked for no good reason. Okay, so that tells me that PMT is equal to the payment, the size of the payments is $803.80. Okay, so in Part B, we want to know what is the total amount of interest earned by the company over the course of the 8 years. Well, this is actually very similar to Parts B and C in Example 1. It's just sort of rolled in together. So if I want to know the amount of interest the company earned over the course of the 8 years, the 8 years, I need to know how much they deposited of their own money. So I need to calculate the total of the deposits. So that turns out to be the size of the payments, 803.80, times the number of payments, which is 96. And then if I calculate that, I get 77,164.80. Okay, so that's how much of the company's own money they put in. So the interest is going to be how much they have at the end of the 8 years minus how much of their own money they put in. Well, how much do they have? At the end of the 8 years, they have $100,000, the future value. So I take $100,000 $1,000, and I subtract off $77,164.80, and that tells me the amount of interest the company collected over 8 years is going to be $22,835.20.